The cheapest V8 AMG on the internet broke after 1 month, so now I'm gonna fix and upgrade it. Right, the first issue with this car is even getting it in to start working on it. You see the battery is dead, and this is the only key I got with the car. As you can see in there, that is where your physical key would slide in. I don't have one. The battery is dead, and when I try and unlock it, nothing happens. And worse than that, all of the car is locked. So the first thing we have to do is find a way into the car, and it's gonna be annoyingly difficult. First things first, don't do this at home. This is admittedly quite sketchy, but we've got to do what we've got to do. I don't have time to get a locksmith out here to sort it. We've got a battery down here, we've got jump leads, and we've got this with a pole on it. Looks a bit weird, I know. Your car's battery is connected to something very easily accessible from under the car, the alternator. That's what charges the battery. So if I can plug this battery in to these leads up here, put this to the ground of the car, and this pole with the live on it to the alternator, it will then energize the car system with 12 volts, and we will then very quickly be able to click the key, unlock the doors, and then push it back inside. So that's the plan. Whether it works or not, let's have a look. Okay, so this car's alternator doesn't allow me to get to it, so instead I'm going to try going for the fog light wiring and seeing if we can connect to that, because maybe that will work. Okay, that is now connected. Cameraman, are you ready to hit the button?
Yeah.
Hit the unlock. Can you see if the doors are unlocked? Good start though. So we've got power to it for a moment. Go for it. See the door. Check the door. Tell me that's it. Go on. Yes. Now we can begin fixing the car. Now before I work out if I can actually even fix this Mercedes, this video is sponsored by our friends at Holy, so staying hydrated is not going to be a problem.
Holy makes low-calorie, great-tasting drinks that are a solid alternative to your usual sugary options.
Now they've sent out their Starter Set Deluxe kit, which comes with samples of their 3 main lines, Holy Energy, Holy Iced Tea, and Holy Hydration, and we genuinely drink a lot of it in the unit. Our corner over there is stocked up with Holy at any one time, and we're all drinking at least 1 or 2 of them a day.
And now Holy have got milkshakes as well. These are a healthy alternative to the sugary options you'd usually find in the shops. Now before, they sent us out their vanilla, hazelnut and banana flavours, but there are 2 new flavours. We've got caramel and strawberry. We have tried all the flavours and we genuinely really love all of them.
They're super easy to make too. You just scoop some powder into your Holy shaker, add milk, give it a shake, and then you've got a tasty milkshake in seconds.
Plus, there are no artificial colours or artificial flavours. Each serving is less than 20 calories, and each of those servings works out at just 80p each.
So if you want to give it a go, grab one of Holy's starter set kits, which has 14 sachets of their 7 best-selling flavours, perfect for you to work out which flavour you like most.
And when you've got your favourite flavour, you can pick up a 50-serving tub, so you can always stay stocked up.
So use code 2DC5 for £5 off your first order, and then use code 2DC if you want 10% off any order after that. So why am I even pushing this car? Not long after the first video on this car went out, I went to leave work one day and my steering was suddenly very heavy. So I looked under the car and there was a stream of power steering fluid coming from the underside. A closer inspection revealed that one of the power steering hoses had split. I replaced it, but unfortunately the power steering pump had run low on power steering fluid for too long and had died too. While this isn't the biggest issue with this cheap Mercedes, which we'll get onto later, it's the part that I have to replace first to be able to use the car again. So now I've got the parts to fix this car, plus a lot more, but I want to make this car a bit nicer. The first thing that we're going to fix is the power steering issue that stopped this car from being able to be used at all. We need to pull the old power steering off and replace it with the new one. So that is the first aim. It's like Lego. Okay, time to go into teardown mode. I started by draining as much of the power steering fluid that was left in the reservoir as possible to minimise the amount that it would pour all over the engine bay. Then it was just a case of removing the aux belt, which is the belt that spins your power steering pump and allows it to operate. Look at the size of that thing. It's huge. Oh, I got Jared from Subway's belt. Crazy. Then I removed some of the very annoying and fiddly bolts which hold the pump to the car, and then pulled the whole unit out. Right, so here is the new power steering pump. It's unbranded. It was the only one I could really get on a quick time frame. And here is the old one. Now what you usually do is you transfer that power steering reservoir that sat on top onto the new one, but thankfully for us, that is one of the parts that Febby have sent over. So in here, we should have a nice new power steering reservoir, so we can replace the entire unit here get rid of this, but we do need to take our ground cable there. And then it was a case of swapping over the new part back in, putting the longest aux belt on Earth back on, and praying that the new pump wouldn't make the horrible groaning noise that the last one did. Right, so I've installed the power steering pump. It's all bled correctly. So here's hoping. I'm going to turn the car on now, and if we can turn the wheel side to side without any bad groaning, we should be fine. Yes! Right, C55 is back at least running now. Now we can look at repairing and upgrading some other things. Right, so it's been about a week since I did that power steering pump, and thankfully, nothing has gone wrong. I've put a couple hundred miles on the car, and we're all good. No more leaking power steering fluid, no more heavy steering, it just works nicely. Now, before we get into the meat of the repairs and upgrades, there is one other thing that I want to quickly do while I'm still using this car as a daily, and that's the brakes. You see, when I go to buy a car, there is one thing that I always check really quickly. The first thing I do is I come to the tyres and check what brand are these tyres, how old are they, how much tread have they got, and what is the dot number. Now the dot number we'll find right here. I'm just going to give it a quick clean. And there you go, 3320. That means the 33rd week of the 20th year. These wheels are 4 and a bit years old. Not brand new, but also not critically old. So I check that first. It's one of the easiest things to negotiate on. Secondly, our brakes. Now you can't really tell the pad wear that much, but what you can very easily do is check the brake disc. Now, you might not be able to see it in there, but there is actually quite a big lip on the edge of these brakes. Now that is a good sign that you might have a little bit of wobble or that your brakes are coming towards the end of their life, and it's something to negotiate on. Now that is something I knew that I wanted to sort on this car ASAP. So before we carry on with anything else, we're gonna fit a new full brake set. New rotors, new pads, and we'll check for anything else that might be wrong in there, because one thing I do not like about the way this car drives is that when you come up to a stop, you can feel a bit of a wobble as you come to stop. Now I think that might be a warped rotor, so I'm hoping that doing this quickly will fix that issue. Otherwise, we could have a bend in our wheel, we could have some suspension arms that are out. So we're gonna check that when it gets up in the air, but we know we need to do the brakes no matter what. So let's get those done quickly. So usually when you might take off a caliper, you're probably used to taking the bolts out the back and flipping the whole caliper down to get the pads out. However, this is a Brembo style caliper. Well, it is a Brembo caliper, but the way they tend to do it is that they've got these quick release pads so that you never need to take the caliper off to change your pads out. It's derived from racing. In an endurance race, you don't want to have to stop, pull the caliper off, do all sorts of stuff with lining it back up to get your new pads in. Instead, you just do this, which is quite cool. Little thing in here to push the pin out, and you'll see this pin along here. Now with a little bit of persuasion, if I can grab the back pin, you pull number 1 pin out, pull the bottom pin out, and you have, this is what holds your pads in place to make sure that they don't rattle around. And then, in a matter of moments, that guy just comes straight out. So it's a much quicker, much easier way of changing your pads. But for us, we need to do the disc as well, because you might even be able to see from where you are here that the whole brake disc is wavy and warped all the way up. So we're gonna change the pads out, grab the other one, which has a little wear sensor on him that you can see there. He is what tells your car's computer when your brake pads are getting thin. If you ever get a warning on your car's dash, it's because this little sensor has sensed that he doesn't have anything left. So here is our old disc, and if we get up close, you can see there's a pretty chunky lip on the top of that versus our new one from Febi. Now I've been using Febi since I started working on cars. When it comes to German cars, they are genuinely very good OE matching quality parts. And what's potentially one of their best features is that they have an online website where you can just put your reg in and it gives you a full list of the parts that they make for your car called the Febi Parts Finder, which is very, very useful. Anytime we get a project or something terrible like this, we chuck that number plate in there, see what they've got, and then if we need anything, we know that Febi have already got it. The other thing to note is how big this disc is. This, I guess, is a regulation-sized can. Look how huge that is. That is absolutely ridiculous. And it's not just for the C55. Yes, these brakes came on the C55, but if you had an AMG 320 or a CLK 200 with an AMG pack, you could have these brake discs. So I feel bad for you if you have to replace these and you don't even have the V8. Well, this looks kind of okay. Well, it's kind of smooth here, but still does have a lip. The issue is when we get to the other side. This is the front side of the pad. When you look down it, it's smooth. But on the rear pad, you might be able to see there, it's all bumpy. And that's the same when you look at the disc. Front side smooth. Back side is terribly bumpy. If I get low, you might even be able to see the bumps as you go across it. And I think that is partly what is causing my horrible shake at low speeds and when I'm braking up to a stop. So I'm hoping by changing this thing now, we should have a much smoother ride, much more befitting of what is supposed to be a luxury car. So I got to work reinstalling the new brakes, pausing along the way to, of course, clean everything that I could, because who isn't checking their brake dust shields for cleanliness on a regular basis? After faffing around with a very annoying caliper that didn't want to rewind, I moved on to the rear discs, which went much more smoothly. Pads and discs now replaced, I discovered an issue that explained one of my problems with the car. Right, I've been under this car quite a lot already in my ownership, and since my beginning of my ownership there has been a really annoying knocking noise, and I probably should have noticed this sooner, but I've just been under this car and noticed that right there is a completely loose drop link. I'm going to tighten that up. I'm hoping that that alone might get rid of a lot of my noise, but other than that we probably also have some arms and things to do down the line, but for now I'm hoping just fixing this thing here will fix my knock noise. Now, the biggest issue with this Mercedes, other than the fact that the power steering pump broke, is that every few hundred miles, it decides that it needs another litre of oil. Now that's weird because this says AMG, not BMW, which means there's something wrong, but I think I can fix it for free. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna tear down some top parts of the engine and get in and inspect it. And to do that, I simply ripped off the engine covers, then pulled off the coil packs, which send spark to the spark plugs, to finally get to the PCV system. Now a PCV, or positive crankcase ventilation system, removes all of the pressurized gases that the engine makes when it's running and sends them back into the intake to be burned, which improves efficiency and reduces emissions. If it fails, the buildup in pressure can send oil into the intake and cause it to be burned, exactly the issue that this car is having. And now that the coil packs are off, you can see that this PCV system that I was talking about happens in here, in this little box within this. And then this pipe goes back in towards the intake of the engine. So if this gets blocked up and clogged, the pressure inside here will build up and send it back through the engine, which is what gives you the blue oily smoke out of the exhaust. So we're going to take the valve cover off and then this piece off here. And if inside here is all gunked up and blocked, it's a good chance that that's what's causing it and we can fix it for free. Also, while we're in here, you can see that our valve cover gaskets are leaking a bit. So we're going to replace those while we're at it. All we need to do now is remove this side of the valve cover. We'll have a look. So with the valve cover off, we've got what looks to be a very clean engine. There's nothing dark, there's no kind of carbon deposits on it at all. It just looks nice and golden and well maintained, which is a very good start for us. But that over there doesn't make as much of a difference to us. What we need to now do is take these two little heads off and remove this cover. And if that inside is covered in gunk, that's a good thing. So we're gonna grab our little electric screwdriver. This is genuinely one of my favorite tools I've ever used. It's just so helpful. Now these bolts are actually very important. These are single-use bolts. If you try and reuse them, they will snap in the threads. It's a known thing on all of these engines. You do not reuse these, we've got some new ones. But more importantly is the moment of truth. Now you can see that someone has been in here before because this is covered in sealant. It's quite a common thing for people to do. They use sealant and there's only one type of sealant to use. So I'm thinking someone might have used the wrong type of sealant here. Getting it off was easier said than done, so I went at it with all of my cleaning supplies and a Stanley blade, and then finally, I think I might have got him ready to come out. Right, moment of truth. Ooh, okay. Now he's definitely full of stuff, but it looks like we do still have a hole through to this side. So what we need to do is we need to clear this up. The only thing I think it could be is a little piece of this. They've used the wrong sealant to put this on. A piece of that might have gone and sat over the hole and not allowed it to get open. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean this all up, and it's looking hopeful that this could be the solution to our oil burning problems. So it was back to cleaning, as any leftover old sealant would cause it to not bond correctly, which would make the valve covers leak. Not something I really want. Okay, I've now cleaned this up as best as I can. It's not perfect, but it'll do for now. I've done the same on this side. They're all clean, the faces are ready to mate. But what I'm gonna do beforehand is this little hole that you can see in there, that little guy there, he is what gets clogged up. So to stop that and help that in the future, we're gonna drill this hole out a little bit, not by much, up to 3 millimeters, around about, what is that, 1/8 of an inch for Americans, just to give it a better flow so it doesn't get clogged again and this doesn't happen. So I gingerly drilled out the hole, cleaned any metal shavings out, then put the correct sealant on the PCV cover before putting the valve cover back in the car. I then switched to the other side, which also has a PCV cover, repeated the process, and it was time to put it all back together once and for all. Now, before I put it on, one of the other cool things is that not only do Febby have the gaskets for that sort of stuff, they also have the OEM breather hoses. This is what it means when Febby say OE matching quality parts. It's not just replica parts, they are in the exact design of the original Mercedes parts, which means that you can replace these, which as you can see when I took it off, broke and sheared off, which could be clogged inside and causing it. So we're going to replace this pipe here, which is just as bad, if you can see, which is just as bad, and then the one going over to the other side as well. So all three of them are standard OE matching parts. It's one of the reasons we like using Febby, is that they are the original part, just remade, not a cheap knockoff. Okay, the car is now back together, which means the most important thing of working on any daily driver, and that's working out if you're going to make it home or not. We're going to see if this car starts at all. We're not actually going to know if this has fixed it for a good couple hundred miles, because only after then is when it tells you that you're running low on oil because it's been burning it. So the only thing we're going to know right now is whether I'm getting home or not. So let's have a look. You will also note that obviously this I haven't put in yet, but we don't need that just to see if the car runs. Both sides have been done. Let's see if we can actually get it to start. The reason it took a moment to start there is because we had disconnected the fuel line, so I had to prime that fuel back through the system to get it running, but no leaks, seems to run. We might be okay. That's the fuel line that we had to take off, and we don't have any drips or anything from it. And there we go, job done. Cut to future me that's going to tell you if it worked or not, and I'm praying that he has good news. And the news is overall positive. It hasn't burned any oil. I've put another 1,000 or so miles on it, and I haven't yet had the notification come back up. I'm not saying we're out the woods. It's an old Mercedes. It might still do it, might still be unhappy. But for now, that free fix fixed it. But there's a very good reason why I needed that to happen, because I'm going to sell this car. We'll go for a drive and I'll explain. Now we'll talk about why I'm going to sell it in a bit. There's a good reason, but mainly what it was to what it is now. When I first bought it, I was thinking it's quite ropey. And it is, exterior wise, it's definitely still ropey. Also, since doing the valve covers, I have also fitted 15mm spacers all around, and it looks 10 times better.
Way better.
So much better. The brakes that we did, when I come to a stop, if I slow down now, smooth. Mercedes smooth.
It stops.
It stops. Before, didn't do that so nicely. It wasn't quite happy with that.
Very good.
And then also the power steering system, that wasn't one of its finest hours. That left me stranded for quite a number of weeks while I was waiting for parts and things, but finally got those done. And then the rocker covers have solved the car's biggest issue. The one thing that we do still have, but I think I'm getting close to tracking down, is that gearbox whine. I think it's the center coupler. I've ordered a part, so that should be done too. And I've put now, if I go through my system, 2,200 miles since my last reset. I think I've now done 7,000 miles in this car. For me,
crazy.
That's a lot for me.
That's huge.
I'm not a mile muncher, man, but this thing, he's putting in miles. I really do like it, and yet I'm potentially going to sell it.
It's an interesting way of going about things.
Exactly. Do you know what this is? This is you
Yeah.
getting a car, fixing all of the issues with it, and then selling it straight away at its nicest.
In better condition than you've ever owned it.
Yeah, exactly. So the reason that I want to sell this is A, we drove the M6 DCT car recently, and I said to myself, I have to make that happen. This car I paid £4,500 for. That's £4,500 towards an M6 sitting right there. And then secondly, I bought a car in an auction after. So, you know, that's the reason why.
You bought, sorry, what? I did miss that. That seemed like another language.
Oh no, I think we just move on. No, I bought another E36.
Oh, you haven't got any of those?
No.
No, you haven't got any of those.
No, I've never had one. I've had no, I do currently own a silver one and a white one. So I bought another white one. So yeah, so I bought another car, which means I now need to make space, and the other one is not going to stay around that long. So I thought, you know what, it's time to let this go on. And loads of people have been messaging me about this car, saying, "Yo, what are you saying about that?" By the time this video comes out, it probably won't be for sale. I still want to sort out a load of other things. I'm not trying to hand over reliability to someone. I want to get this thing a little bit nicer. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not doing the bodywork. There's still going to be tape on the bumper. Don't you worry about that. If you were really hoping to buy this car with tape on the bumper, don't worry, you're safe. But to drive, this car is so much better than when I bought it. It doesn't feel like that much went on in this video, but I've been putting miles on this thing because of it. It's so nice. We've got the heated seats, the cruise control's lovely. Also, since doing the rocker covers, I genuinely think something in the PCV system was blocked, because now it just feels smoother. The way it just feels, it doesn't feel as what do you call that? lumpy.
Lethargic.
Yeah, exactly. It just kind of feels a bit nicer and a bit smoother. So I think that PCV system was definitely clogged, and we've now cleaned him out. You just need to clean sometimes.
Yeah, a netty pot.
Yeah, it's literally exactly that. Because of this car, in our next challenge that we've got, which is cheap V8s, I've gone Mercedes. I wouldn't have gone Mercedes without this guy.
And this, cheapest V8 AMG, does he still have that title?
No, he doesn't have that title.
He doesn't, so you will find that out very, very soon.
Very soon.
And why as well.
And it's an AMG that's cheaper than this, and yet makes roughly 100 and something more horsepower. How have we done that?
And more seats.
And a lot more seats.
Yeah, more seats.
So the car nerds among you, you already know what that is. That is pretty cool. But for now, this is probably the last you will see of the C55 AMG. But you know what? I'm going to say it. I wasn't a Mercedes man coming into this, but they are right in my book, and I will definitely have another before long, because this thing is good.
And you've celebrated with an E36.
Oh. So if you're interested in the C55, send me a DM on Instagram, edwin.klinkenberg. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you next time, where I think the Porsche is going to be back in action. Tune in for that. Have a good one.